So Keith, Belfast Telegraph Championship 1, 5 games in, what's the picture looking like so far?
Well, I think it's been an interesting start to the season. It maybe hasn't been perfect. Obviously, we've lost Newry City, which is a blow to the league and a real shame for everybody concerned, particularly all the Newry fans. I think everybody's feeling for them at the moment. But there's still been some good football played. The two teams that have set the pace so far have been Ards and have been Carrick Rangers, who are both looking in good shape. Ards are currently 100% record, the only team in the division with that. They've been playing very well, but they're not the only team. Carrick Rangers have also been doing very well. I think it's fair to say that Carrick have probably had a more difficult start than what Ards have had. So they're only 2 points behind Ards, so that's already looking like a tight, interesting race with both teams unbeaten. They're not the only two teams unbeaten. There's Institute as well, who are also going well and looking in good shape. So there are three teams who you would expect to be challenging near the end of the season for promotion. It's going to be a tight race, I would say. Last year we had Ballymallard, who in the end won it pretty comfortably. I don't think anything like that will happen this year. I think you're going to see those three teams and maybe a couple of others getting involved, pushing right up to the end of the season.
You mentioned Ballymallard there. The performances they put out in the Premiership this year is a credit to the Championship as well.
I think it's a credit to Ballymallard and it's a credit to White Anderson and all the hard work they did, and I think they've shown a good way forward for other Championship clubs. And actually they did bring in a couple of new faces, a few players from the League of Ireland and a few more experienced heads. But generally, 90% of their squad are Championship 1 players who've played in this division last year, and they've shown how good they are and how capable players in our division are. I think it gives people something to aspire to and something that they can maybe achieve next season or in the future.
And moving on to Championship 2, how's it looking down there?
Yeah, it's Armagh City have been the informed team. They've won all their games so far. I think they've won their first 6 matches, which is incredibly impressive, because last year they weren't close to promotion. They were a mid-table team for most of the season, struggled a wee bit. This year, Marty Rice seems to have got everything right there, and they're cracking on, and they're top of the league with a 100% record. Now, I talked to Marty on Sunday, and he was at pains to point out to me that they haven't really played any of the other top 4 or 5 teams yet, so maybe they've got more difficult games to come. Another team on their heels, one who's a wee bit more experienced in terms of being up at the top end of the table over the last couple of years, is Hugh Sinclair's Knockbreda. They're second at the moment. I think they've only lost 1 game and won the other 5, so they're also looking good. They're gonna be there or thereabouts come the end of the season, as are Lurgan Celtic and as I would say are Ballyclare.
And I know that Belfast Telegraph, as the sponsor of the Championship 1 and 2, have a fans Player of the Month award every month. What players? Give us a few names for fans to look out for.
Well, what's really impressed me so far this year is the way younger players have came to the fore. Last year maybe the star man was Andy Crawford, who's a wee bit on in age, but this year we've got some of the young lads are really making the headlines. Thinking of particularly, there's a trio of players at Carrick, and Corey Davison, Conor McCluskey and Johnny Addis, who have all been very impressive so far. And then at Ards you've got Neil Dugan, who's been doing really well, and Ricky Lee Docherty at Institute, who's also been performing quite well. I mean, I think all those players are under 22 years old, so I think it's showing that there's good young quality players in the league at the moment who have bright futures ahead of them, or at least you have a good chance of doing well in the future.